Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. And as it happens, I want to talk about Twilight. No, don't do it to me. No, this is actually a video on the mists of Ravenloft for Dungeons and Dragons 5e. So don't panic, it's not going to be about Twilight. I wouldn't do that to you. No, not at all. Blade will finish those two off, no problems, I'm sure of that. So this is a Curse of Strahd Dungeon Master Guide. It's not for the players, so if you're a player, don't hang around. Go and watch one of my other videos. I have hundreds of them. I'm sure they will help you out in some way, and that's really where you should be right now rather than watching this video, because spoilers are ahead, and also sort of the mechanics and flavor, the flavor of the mist, because is the mist just a mechanical tool that the Dungeon Master uses, or is the mist an actual character? And I'm going to say to you that I think the mist is in fact both of these. The mist can be used as a character and a Dungeon Master tool. So if you turn to page 23 and 24 of the Curse of Strahd, it will provide you with bugger all information on the mist. There is some mechanical information there. The rest of it is scattered throughout the book, and as an overall sort of arching concept, the mist is actually quite important, and Chris Perkins has talked about the mist being really important. Yet in the adventure itself, there is actually very, very little information to use as a Dungeon Master, and I think that's a shame. So I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to add in my 2 cents and give you my take on the mist. What is the mist? Let's start with that as a question. It is a deadly fog. It's deadly to land creatures, flying creatures. You can't fly over this. You can't walk through this stuff. It surrounds the lands of Barovia. It engulfs all creatures that enter it. And if they are not turned back, they disappear, never to be seen again. It is a barrier between the rest of the material world and the dark lands of Barovia. It is a creature. A creature, yes, I mean it. It is a creature with no form, controlled by Strahd, but also to a limited degree controlled by Strahd, but also controlled by the dark gods that put Strahd here. Yes, that's right. The dark gods created this thing, and Strahd is here for a particular reason, and the dark gods, only they know the reason why Strahd is trapped in Barovia, but the mist is actually controlled by the dark gods ultimately. It's a form of limbo as a place, but also a creature of malice. It has its own personality, which stems and bleeds over from the personality of the dark gods and Strahd into the lands. So don't mess with the mist. It's a bad thing to mess with. It is also a story hook, which can be moved pretty much anywhere. For a Dungeon Master, you can put it, place it, position it as you see fit. Very, very easy to do. Now, what is the effect of the mist? Well, the book, and really that's really all the book does, is it does provide us with some basic idea of what the mist is supposed to do mechanically. So a DC 20 Constitution saving throw is required when you are in this stuff, and if you fail it, you gain a level of exhaustion, which you can't get rid of until you leave the mist or the fog. And even if you do try to get rid of it, getting rid of exhaustion is actually quite a difficult process. It takes a bit of time. You need to take that long rest, and you can only get rid of one level of exhaustion by taking a long rest and sort of chilling out, laxing back, or the use of magic to try and get rid of those exhaustion levels, provided you have the right spell and you are high enough in level. If you try to travel through this fog, as I said, it will turn you round. But as a Dungeon Master, you might decide that turning them round, if they are absolutely desperate to travel into the fog, that they just get lost in it and disappear, never to be seen again. The fog area is heavily obscured, so you can't see through this stuff. So a very strange sort of element to any kind of adventure. The fog in Ravenloft, the original adventure, was always odd and bizarre and strange, and actually would kill you. The mechanics behind it would actually kill the player's character. If they stayed too long, they would start losing hit points and so forth. In this version, it's just exhaustion levels, but you could do much more with it. And as a dungeon master, when I make these videos, I want you to make adjustments, make changes. You probably already have. Okay, so the souls of the dead are trapped. And there are many souls trapped within the mist. The dead never escape this location. They are stuck there until such time as either they hear from Strahd or the dark gods decide what their will be. Now, whether that be the soul or the spirit or whatever you want to call it, that is trapped there. And maybe they stay there and never come out of the mists. Maybe they are repurposed and their spirits are drawn into the body of a soulless individual that has been created here by Strahd or the dark gods. Who knows? It's entirely possible that none of that takes place, but I think that's actually far more interesting. That's what it's sort of its purpose is, to hold the spirits and souls of individuals. Only Strahd allows his servants to move through this mist and fog. And there are limits to who he can let through. He can't let himself through this fog because the dark gods stop that from taking place. But he does let the Vistani, the Gypsy People, travel through the mists to draw new souls and individuals into his world that he can torture, torment, and pretty much just mess with, basically. They are his playthings. The souls of Barovians are kept in the world by this magic, by the mist. That's how they can't move past it. You can't go and use a spell and dispel the mists. You can't blow it away with a strong wind or gust. You can't use any kind of magic whatsoever to even affect it. It might push a little bit of it away, but it will just come straight back. So it's one of those things as a dungeon master that is really your toolbox. It's the thing that you can pretty much do anything with. And it's one thing that players will find incredibly frustrating. I know that my own players just didn't quite understand what the heck was going on. So what do you use the mist for? There are so many different things you can use the mist for. So what can you actually use it for? It's an adventure hook for getting them into Barovia, your players' characters. It's a way of pushing them from one place to another on the map, which I know some people think is like a cheap move. No, you shouldn't do that. That's just cheap. But it's there. Why not use it? If that's what you want to do, then do that. What about, can I use the mist to reveal the main villain? Is this an entry point for Strahd to appear coming out of the mists? I often use this in my own game where I would have Strahd appear out of the mists from nowhere to wreak havoc on them, or just to scare them or watch them. Having Strahd watch them from the mists is one of the most terrifying things you can do to a player because they're expecting him to attack at any moment, but it doesn't actually happen. It's always the threat of danger that's far more terrifying than the actual implementation of combat in a Dungeons and Dragons adventure. It is a link to the dark gods, possibly an opportunity to meet the dark gods, whatever form they might take. Maybe a shadowy figure, maybe a creature of animal form. Who knows? I actually had in my game, I used the mists and I used Barovia, and I had the players' characters meet one of the dark gods who has actually placed Strahd in Barovia, and I had that dark god explain that no matter what they did, they weren't going to let Strahd be released from Barovia. So if they interfered, they were interfering with the will of the dark gods. That scared the bejesus out of my players, and they still sort of went through with it. But yes, I know that that's one element to my adventure that they really did find terrifying. Does the mist trap the sound of tortured souls? Well, it might well do. Can the mists kill a player's character? Well, in older versions of the game, it certainly did. Is it possible to talk to the mist and understand its nature, or at least get an idea of how much malice and disdain and how evil it is? Because the mists are evil. They are a reflection of Strahd, they are a reflection of the dark gods, and they are what keep everything going. Without the mists, everything falls apart. Essentially, the mists are anything the Dungeon Master wants. It is the wild card. It is your tool, and I suggest you use it to its full extent, not just as a tool, but as an actual character. I know that sounds a little bit strange, but honestly, you are going to have a lot of fun doing that. Seriously, a lot of fun. Okay, so I have many videos, and actually a whole bunch of videos on the Curse of Strahd for Dungeon Masters, which you are welcome to go and check out. I have plenty of videos for Dungeon Masters and players on many, many different topics, and you're welcome to go and watch those. I have a Patreon page where you can go and support me, so I do more videos like this, and you get access to content that other people don't. All of the live streams go straight to the patrons, and this always goes unlisted, so you can't access it. And then, of course, I give priority to patrons as well in terms of what content I make. I have affiliate links to the book depository and Amazon where you can buy stuff online, and I get a small commission from that. I have a merchandise shelf or merchandise shop for Teespring, which you can go and buy merchandise now from if you really want to. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s